Hello, this is the fifth time I'm trying to start this video because I absolutely don't know how to start it off. Alright, welcome to this video series. This is probably going to be the most, divisive video series I'm ever going to do because, well, frankly enough, my channel is based around reactions, MLP, and anything else I can get my hands on. But when it comes to, original stuff, aka my personal things, it's only the purebred subscribers that have known me for a little bit, talk to me via live streams, or are actually honestly interested in my personal things that I've done in my life. I thought about this for a long time, and I almost did this, a long time ago, was sit down and just talk about my story. But I never really knew how to format it, because if I just try to go on a beginning, middle, end tirade, I am going to divert to so many different things, because I'm going to constantly forget to mention this, or bring up that, or, oh, wait, I should have brought up that during that moment. But I think this is the proper way to do it. Go through my story, page by page, and explain why I made this page the way it is, what I'm trying to convey with this page. What is this page for? Did I like what I did with this page? Do I want to change it in the future? Because as an opening statement to all this, for those of you who are going to stick around for this type of series, which I have absolutely no clue how long each episode slash video I'm going to be making. I don't know how long I'm going to go off on this. I'm going to try with 10 pages, see how long that takes me, and then we're going to continue on from there. But here's an opening statement. My name is John Mitchell. I am a story writer. My primary story that I have been writing ever since I was 6 years old, is a story called Nobody Cries for Nothing. Nobody Cries for Nothing, main idea is supposed to be about changing along with it. Would you care about a person who basically made you who you are today, but you have never ever seen that person or even knew that person existed? That sort of questions and stuff came into my mind ever since I learned about the butterfly effect. It's like a single hitting a butterfly in the past can have big ramifications in the future. So, to me, it means that people in life, the people you don't know, the people you just see randomly when you see them driving in their cars when you're walking down on a sidewalk or something, that person probably did something that influenced your life in some way, shape, or form. Maybe it's something like that or something like this and something like that. So if that person randomly did something so minuscule, but that minuscule thing then snowballed into what gave you what you love right now, would you thank that person? The answer would be no, you wouldn't thank that person because you never really think about that. Hence the name Nobody Cries for Nothing. So when we cry, normally people tend to cry for a particular reason, whether it be a passing family member, friend, dog, anything of the sorts. You always have something in your head. Even if you say you're crying for no reason, you're crying for a reason that exists. You just probably don't know what it is. But if you cry for literally absolutely no reason, like you're crying, you're having a fun day, you're just being the happiest dude, and all of a sudden you just started to cry. You actually just feel intense sorrow, just like that. And to tell you the truth, the reason why it's supposed to be that type of description is because I first started the story when I first had my real first taste of depression, and how I could be happy one day and just love everything, and then suddenly I hate everything in life, and I'm just so down. And yes, this is back when I was 6, so you could tell how long I've had depression for a long time. How long I had depression. So with that, the story was birthed. And I'm going to tell you this right now. This is just a pure hit to everything I'm going to be talking about. Every single character, main character-wise, is a part of me personified in the story. And when I get to the character, I will explain what that character is, what they mean to me, and the type of journey I'm putting them on, because it's something that I experience in life in some way, shape, or form, or somebody I know in life that I relate to and want to put that story out there. Now, warnings. This series is at best rated 18 and up. So kiddies, especially after the COPA Act, if you're here for some reason, leave, because certain things I tackle in my story, you really have to have an adult mind frame to, one, understand what the message is trying to go off of, and two, handle what that subject matter is trying to say. And I'm saying this, I don't pull punches. I do not. pull punches. When I write a story, if it is good for the story I'm trying to tell, I'm gonna do it. I'm preparing for you this, and I'm preparing you this now. I'm gonna give another warning when we get to a particular portion, which is probably gonna be a long ways away from now, but we're gonna get to a particular portion of the story, and I know for a solitary fact it's gonna be very divisive for you people. It's gonna be it was very divisive for me, but I did it because someone I know went through it, and I want to put that story out like that. And I also just want to let you guys understand that in this story, life sucks. You're not gonna have a knight in shining armor just randomly come and save you when you need her most. You're not gonna get all these miracles of fictional nature that happens with Deus Ex Machinas and stuff like that. I do my best to make it so that every action has a consequence. Just kind of like how the old Game of Thrones used to be. When there was actions, those actions had consequences. Even though, and while some consequences may be small, some consequences were big, in my story, that's exactly what it is. You're not going to get the power of friendship to save you every single time. Not to say that there's not going to be any moment in my story where the power of friendship doesn't win the day, but it is going to come at a cost. I'm not going to give 100% good, and I do my best to not show that everything's 100% bad. There will be something good from even the worst of things. So, with all that being stated, this is maybe an long opening mention before I actually get started into the meat of what these videos are going to be about. But I have to preface this really hard. I don't hold back. Okay? If you have, like, quote-unquote, a triggering motion on particular subjects that I tackle in my story, I'm going to, when I get to a sketchbook, how I'm going to be naming these, it's going to be sketchbooks, because each and every one, I don't, my chapters are long as hell, so I separate particular arcs and stuff out via sketchbooks. So I manage my pages from page 1 to the final page to end off that particular segment. Each sketchbook tackles a different type of main idea, you could say. So when we get to, like, I don't remember which sketchbook, I'm probably 7 or 8. When we get to that sketchbook, I will do another warning. But just understand, I say curse words. I have all the 7 deadly sins plus some, and I tackle every single sin as thoroughly as possible, going through the motions of what the sins are about. And I'm going to let you guys know, for those of you who have already read my story and just are interested in what I have to say when I get to those particular pages, let me say that I am happy I'm done with a particular sin. And I am happy I no longer have to do anything about that sin now that it's out of the way. Just because I'm a writer and I'm doing it doesn't mean I have to like it. But when it comes to the story and how I want you to feel emotional-wise and understand what the entire preface of it is, I'm going to do it. It's kind of like a baker who bakes cake, who hates cake but always bakes it. Like that one line from a song that I forget the name of. But there you go. All right. Well, that being stated, let's get started with the first page of the story. And this is how I'm going to be doing things. It's going to be right here. I know that it's very hard for me to do it any other type of way because I really don't want to do editing very much. This is going to be off the cuff, just emotion-wise. I also have the sketchbook right here just in case I can't see what the hell I wrote there. And if you really want to read the story, I'll always have a link in the description to my DeviantArt page. All the sketchbooks are in their own personal folders. You can go into it, go to the first page if you ever feel like reading it. But if you just want to experience the story like this every time I make new videos, because I will be doing this thing where I put like timestamps on every single page. So for people who are reading it and are just interested on why I made this page the way it is, that's how you can do it. Hopefully this goes off well, and those of you who are interested in how I write stories, how I write characters, how I structure things, this might be enjoyable to you. I'd say only listen to these if you have nothing else better to do, to tell you the truth. I listen to my old live streams when I'm doing my work because sometimes music just doesn't do it for me and I just have to listen to me. So yeah, as vain as that sounds, it's a good way. So these are also for me for whenever I'm working and I just need to hear my personal stuff to remind me what I'm doing. So let's get started with the first page. Okay, the first page took me 13 pages to actually get the first page out. I could be wrong. It could be a little bit more, maybe even less. But I remember doing the first page a bunch of times. I'm like, okay, how do I start this? Do I start it like it all started with a huge explosion? Do I start it with a mysterious being that you won't know until like chapter 48 or something like that? And I realized I hate stories that do that. I hate stories that set up something like, oh, what's this creature? Why is it saying that? What's the meaning of the word? It's kind of like the beginning of Boruto. I hate that. I hate how you basically make it so that you have to at one point connect your story back to that segment. Stories change over time, guys. If you're ever writing a story and you ever want to do let's hint at what the ending's gonna look like, don't do that. Because sooner or later, once you reach like the middle of your story, you're gonna be like, maybe it would have been better to end it like this. And then you're gonna kick yourself and it's like, great, how am I supposed to tie this with that when this ending's way better than the ending I had when I was 5 years old? It's like, that sort of thing. So I wanted to keep it as contained as possible and introduce you to a character that you won't see until like the middle of near the beginning of the beginning portions of True Chapter 1, and that is the narrator. The narrator will start you off, and the narrator asks you a philosophical question: what is the meaning of life? It's like that is the most bare bones, basic way to get you into what this story is already gonna try to tackle in a bit. Why do you exist? Why is existence a thing? Why is that this way is structured like that and not structured like this? If you ever wondered, oh man, if the God that we believe in is so strong, why are we so limited in our abilities and had to make ourselves as powerful as we are and still slowly but surely climbing up the chain of evolution or whatever? Why aren't we already at the pinnacle? And so you go to the Apple of Eden, aka the Judeo-Christian philosophies of the reason why we are like this is because our ancestors effed up. Why did I say it like that? Our ancestors fucked up. So since our ancestors did that, we have to suffer for it. And so I bring it up like that. What is the meaning of life? And then you have the Apple of Eden. I want to do a running joke with this because a lot of people have said, and I know this myself, that in the Bible, it never actually states that it's an apple. It never says that. It's just the fruit of knowledge or something like that. It never says it. So I was going to do a running joke that every single time you go back to the tree, it's a different fruit. And it's not even fruits that normally grow on trees. That type of thing is like a watermelon the next time or something else like that. But then I realized we're not going to be seeing the tree very much in the story. So that kind of would probably go over people's heads. So I just kind of stuck with what people mostly know when it comes to the fruit of knowledge, that it being an apple, thanks to common media, thanks to Assassin's Creed and stuff like that, and people just thinking it's an apple. And I'm like, I don't know why it wouldn't be an apple. An apple, if you had to think of a basic bitch fruit, if you had to think of a basic bitch fruit, it would be an apple or an orange or something like that, maybe in a banana. But apples usually come to people's mind and just like, fruit. Oh, apples. The apples are pretty common. So I kept it. I kept the apple, and then you also see in the corner there we got the snake rattle. So it already supposed to show this is happening. The narrator is talking during the events of when the first sin is about to happen, basically. And then I'm not gonna like do a reading with you. I'm not gonna read like the entire dialogue. I'm just gonna explain the page, what is it about, and basically what the page is trying to say anyway. All what the narrator is trying to say is that what is existence? Why are you here? Why is it built this way? And this is your answer. You're like this because of this one mistake these two idiots made a long time ago that you have no control to even try and stop them. Like, their fault, now it's our fault. That sort of thing. Also, somebody pointed this out literally the first time. All it took, T-U-C-K. Now, at first, I was trying to put slang in with the narrator because it's like he doesn't say took. He took, like took. He say it like he does say it like tuck, like that. But people pointed it out as a spelling error, and frankly enough, it's very hard to distinguish which is a slang spelled as slang or spelled because it's spelled wrong. Thanks to me having dyslexia in the brain, and dyslexia literally in any regard, whatever I read / write will always be different. Like, I think I'm writing an E, but apparently I wrote an A for some stupid reason or something like that. So you will see a lot of spelling errors in the very beginning. I do my best to use spell check and a bunch of other different sources, and also a person reading overreading my stuff. It used to be Will back in the middle days. But frankly enough, I'm just pointing it out. That tuck was intentional, but I wouldn't blame anyone for always thinking that it's not. So yeah, that's page 1. Page 2. Then we just have the only time I'll ever draw a snake. in this story. Now, there are snake characters, but you will never see the face of a snake. And I remember having to go online on Google to look up snakes. And I'm like, all right, I guess this is good enough. And funnily enough, if you go on my DeviantArt page, you see like a thing called Ragnarok, and that's me after years of practice of drawing stuff like snakes. And I have to say, I'm pretty goddamn proud of me drawing that one snake. But this snake, you know, it's supposed to be the Big L, Lucy Boy, tempting Adam and Eve, which are seen on the corners there, about to partake in the fruit and then cause the first sin. This page is as bare bones basic you're gonna get. You have the snake, you have the context. If you don't know what's going on right now, it's me letting you guys know this is the religion in my story. My religion in the story is the Judeo-Christian one. It is 100% factual. Everything that is in the Bible happened. So those of you who are agnostic or anything like that, don't believe in that sort of stuff, this is what my established canon lore philosophy is. Because I'm not saying that they don't do it. I think Hellsing does it. Like, you have animes out there that do, in fact, tackle the Judeo-Christian type of philosophy where the god is this all-powerful being that's unmatched in a lot of ways. But then you have the more common aspects of doing Zeus, Thor, and Loki, and all that sort of stuff. A whole bunch of different other religions. But here's the thing, I'm going to say this now. All religions are canon in my story. All religions. Zeus exists, Thor exists, like a bunch of Amaterasu exists. All these other gods exist. It's just the hierarchy is everyone, and then at the top is Big G. The Big G from the Judeo-Christian one, because it's like he's like literally tier 0. You can't really compete with that. So there you go. So we're getting over to page 3. Page 3. This is where we start getting to panels, and this is both where, hey, you know the Judeo-Christian lore? You know how Adam and Eve fucked up and first sin started? This is where we both see that happen and where it dilutes. And we now get into what my story is about. In the Bible, it never states that Adam and Eve's soul was tampered in any way. In my story, Adam and Eve's souls get tampered to the point where they are cast down into hell thanks to that sin. And their bodies and minds are left to basically start off the generations of people and stuff like that. So you have the biting of the apple, the apple's significance in this entire thing, and then the last page, you see how my hell looks like. You already see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 suns. I don't know how hot you think it is if you have 7 suns in one distinct location, but let's just say it's pretty goddamn hot. And that's only that many that you can see on screen. So the reason why hell is so hot in my verse is that there's a fuck ton of suns down there. And there is a story reason as to why there are suns there. It's not just, oh wait, hell needs to be hot, so we need to put something hot there. There is a story reason as to why there are stars in hell, which is what makes hell hot. But yeah, so you have the 2 souls casting down. They're about to fall, and they're falling into hell. And this is where you get, and then we get to the next page, which is page 4, as how the first layer of hell actually works. The 2 souls of Adam and Eve then form, since it was the first sin, you could basically say this was the first time things need to be balanced. In the past, everything was good, hunky-dory, hey, you're my friend, I'm your friend, you're not me, but hey, I like you as an individual girl, and the girl said the same thing, only she said guy at the end. And then the first sin happened, and then that was the first real mistake, and now you have balance. Balance needs to be occurred, so the 2 souls put into that balance. And there's a reason as to, like, you're going to be hearing this a lot from me, because unlike some other storytellers, aka how Star Wars is going right now, where you just have different writers doing different shit for no discernible reason without actually having a cause to their entire story structure, I thought of literally fucking everything in this goddamn story. Every single person, every single thing, every minute detail has been thought about 5 years ahead of time. That sort of shit. These 2 characters, why is Adam and Eve's soul? Why one's yin? Why one's yang? Why is the one the masculine one? Why is the one the feminine one? Why did they twirl together to form something to then pierce heaven? Why is there a bunch of suns in hell? All this has been thought about in this stupid afro of mine, all because I need to make sure things are structured. Things need to make sense to make a story good. If you just put in something for style over substance, you're not going to have a good story. Tell you the truth. Yeah, basically. I'm not going to do any examples in real life because I'm afraid I might get in trouble. So, basically, you got to plan your shit out. You always have to plan your shit out. Why is this a thing? But here's where I establish that after the first sin happened, balance occurred. Yin and yang are now a thing, and now the very concept of weighing the options of good, bad, evil, dark, light, dark, shit like that happened because of that one instance. And you have Adam and Eve's soul coming together and piercing the fog that you see around what is hell. And then you see the aftermath of what happened. A blade shows up. Why is it a blade? I'll explain later. A blade shows up. It pierces hell, and you see the fog that was on the surface of hell dissipate. And I even give you this huge wide shot. You need to understand that you see this giant rock here, this stupid black dot that is eclipsing a bunch of suns. I don't know how big you think suns are, but suns are pretty fucking big. And to see that hell is that huge is supposed to indicate how many souls and how many residents are on that. Now, someone was kind enough for me to do something. It was very interesting. You see, in like versus communities, they get kind of ticked off when you have an author who doesn't think through like a lot of people's feats and stuff like that. And this was the one time I didn't do that because I was still very fairly young at the time, and this is the only portion of the story that hasn't changed throughout the years of my revisions. Someone told me that if the sword pierced hell, and hell is actually as big as you say it is, I think we estimated that hell is at least, think of the Earth, but the Earth is now the size of a solar system and a half. You see our solar system. Now just take all that and put a planet in it. And it's the circumference and everything. That huge. So that's how big hell is. And so the fog encompasses all of hell. The sword then pierces the ground and dissipates the whole fog. Someone calculated this. Someone calculated how powerful this sword would need to be able to do that, and it's like a fuck ton of zeros. And I'm like, okay, yes. So as I continued making my story, whenever I have a character do something, I make sure to do the math myself now. So if there is ever a moment where you need to know how strong a certain character is, I actually put in the math on how strong this person should be if they were to do X or Y to said things. This was like an eye-opening experience for me. But you see in this this particular page, the sword comes down, you see how it looks, you're like, oh, okay, that's a thing. The fog is dissipated, what does this mean? Well, if we go over to the next page, that being page 6, boop, we see the first instance of what you should see if something like this happens to hell. Two of the main honchos understanding something's up. The balance of the force has been ruptured. You have your boy Lucifer and Jesus. I get it. Jesus looks weird. Trust me, I know. I draw him better later down the line. Trust me, all right? But you have Jesus and Lucifer reacting to it immediately, and I'm already trying to plant the seeds that this is weird. It's like, okay, wait. All right, the first sin happened. God knows everything. The first sin happened, and last time I checked, Lucifer is the snake, right? So he would know what he just did and why he's there and why is he reacting so weirdly to this. If this happened, he should probably know. The fact that he's confused and is shocked that this has happened already supposed to turn some gears in some of my readers' heads. Like, okay, so the first thing happened, Adam and Eve's soul went to hell, pierced hell, and now the fog that's on limbo, and as stated by the narrator, the fog is meant to be like a barrier of sorts so demons can't get out of hell. The fog keeps demons in hell. So with the fog gone, frankly enough, demons can now go to the human world and fuck shit up. That's bad. Shouldn't God stop that? Why isn't all these questions? It's like, okay, will they be answered? I hopefully do. So, with that, with the reaction shot to both Lucifer and Jesus, it's like both these parties don't know what's going on. So, boom, planting the seeds of curiosity. What is going on? Going to page 7, we get the first person to act on this instinct being Lucifer. He comes out of hell, and I already tried to establish that he can go anywhere he wants in hell as long as the chains stay on. He cannot go away from it. He can go to any single circle he wants, but the chains will be forever present in every location he goes into. So every time you see him in any circle, you're going to see chains around his arms and his back, something along those lines. And I try to make Lucifer, since Lucifer is supposed to be the basic angel portion of the devil, I made him just look like a hot dude with open chest, stuff like that. And one eye covered. That gets explained as well. So we see him go up to it, and we see what his intentions are. He gets shocked that this is here, even though he clearly had this happen in some way. So maybe this is just a side effect that he didn't see coming with this blade now being here. But since it's here, and it's strong enough to free all the demons of hell, he thinks he can use this weapon to even take out God himself if it's that strong. So we go to the next page, and he tries to lift it up. Nothing happens. Instead of bitching about it, he instead opts to still come up with a compromise. Lucifer, unable to lift the blade, is now going to showcase how the demons, the higher up demons, work in my verse, and how they're created, basically. So he's unable to lift the blade. He sees that he can govern something with this. So he takes a piece of his soul out of his body, and that piece of his soul is now he rips a piece of his soul out of his body, and you see how it's like a little embryo. It's like that's intentional. It's supposed to be like, oh hey, look, it's kind of like a baby being born, and it's like going through the stages of being born. But unlike human babies, this one becomes a full-grown man in like a few seconds. So yeah, demons are weird. You see, now you get the race of and how races are born, basically. So in every circle of hell, there's 9 circles. Every circle of hell, Lucifer has done this very thing. He has gone to a circle of hell, ripped a piece of his soul out of his body, and told that piece of his soul that you are now this sin. This sin is your baby. You're gonna govern this. This is you. Have fun with it and make this circle however the hell you want it. This is your place. This is your hell. Have fun. So he was unable to do it on Limbo, being the first circle of hell, because of the fog. Whatever is in the fog will be a lifeless husk forced to walk on the surface of hell for all eternity, unable to do anything. That's why demons can't get out of hell, because as soon as they get out of it, they get hit with the fog and they just sort of walk forever, which is a horrible existence. So they stay clear and just kind of keep themselves in hell. So with hell's fog now dissipated, he's able to make a governing circle again. He's going to capitalize on the fact that this blade helped everything, so he's going to make a lord, and this is now his circle. Welcome to this race. This is a unique race. Most races you're going to see in my story are going to be races that I rip from actual folklore, but this race is the Baron. The Baron race, you get a real indication. Wait, what the hell? Okay, you get the Baron race, and the Baron race is all about foxes and wolves. 2 of my favorite animals were foxes and wolves, so I put both of them together and made a furry, basically. So you have the ears of a wolf and the tail of a fox, because if you know wolves don't have like long flowing bushy tails. Fox do. But when it comes to wolves, they have the more jagged, more primal like ears. So I put those 2 together, and now you have this race. So they have great hearing, excellent senses, and they also like double on how good those actual animals are in the actual animal kingdom. So their primary strengths are agility and not so much power. And the lower you go in hell, the more powerful the lords become. So since you're at the top, you're already supposed to see that this is the weakest of all of them. There. So I'm gonna say his name right here, even though his name is introduced later in line. This is Cuthala. This is the first instance of Cuthala. Cuthala is my baby. He's my baby boy. He is not the first character I've ever drawn, but he is one of the 10 main guys I've first ever drawn when I was 6 years old. Because I read a lot of mythologies. I read a lot of I read a lot of the Bible. I read a lot of the various types of religions out there, and I wanted to see what this type of character would do in that type of environment. And to tell you the truth, so far I think it was good. But Kuthala is okay. Remember how I said I was gonna explain what unique characters are in my life? Kuthala is the father I want to be in life. Frankly enough, Kuthala is the type of dad that I want to be, because the dads that I had were shocky at best, and the other one I got was great. Had rough patches with him, but when it comes to me, I wanted to take both those aspects of those two dads I had and then put it into what I would do if I had a kid, and how I would raise him, how I would treat him, the type of ways I would do. Kuthala in the story was supposed to be, in the very beginning, a very generic father in anime. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I mean, he was a douchebag who kind of just was a demon. And I thought that was boring after 4 years of going with that concept and watching a whole bunch of other different animes and seeing how cliche it was to, one, making the dad a dickhole in the show, and two, it's just the generic, okay, demons are evil. Ooh, look at that, demons are evil. In my story, I'm making my demons, they do bad shit, but calling them evil is actually a real oversimplification on what actually their characters are. And Kuthala is supposed to start that. You see Kuthala, you see how he is, and you see how also similar he is to Lucifer, because all parts of Lucifer will have something similar to him in some way, shape, or form. And Kuthala just looks like him, but just slightly younger. Kuthala, as a father figure, is kind, compassionate, and everything I want to be if I ever am graced with a child. So, yeah. So prepare for that when I start explaining more about Kuthala later in more pages. But right now, that's where he is. So let's go to page 10, the one that you kind of saw pop up. This is back in the day where I am not good at establishing shots, but I do my best. Okay. What this page is basically supposed to imply is that after billions of years have gone by, because while the young Earth thing is cute, I want to still make Earth still 4.2 something billion years old. So the first didn't happen in the first 7 days of Earth's existence, and then as soon as that happened, then Earth existed for a long period of time, and now we're up to this day and age after the 4 billions and something billion years went by. Now we're like this. So the blade. So you have to understand the blade and the concept and all the things that has been going on. It's been 4 billion years. Over 4 billion years have went by. Keep that in mind. And there's something I actually did forget to mention in one of the pages. I think it was. It actually is page 9. There's something I forgot to mention. If you're reading my story and you're reading the narrator, this is your first instance, your first real instance, aside from the slang I try to put in, the first real instance that the narrator is a character in some way, shape, or form, and not just your generic, I'm going to give you exposition and plot for the sake of exposition and plot. He says in the previous page 8, that he's going to call, that Lucifer's going to call this race Pochico. And then you get to the next page, and then he says, then Lucifer thought that name was fucking retarded and decided to call them Baron. Yes, Baron is a much better name. That's your first instance to understand that the narrator isn't your standard narrator. He's a character. You might be able to actually see him in the show, and he has his own personality. So I want to throw that in there, because if there's one thing that I kind of understand when it comes to like exposition dumps, is that exposition dumps usually come in at the cost of making the characters lifeless drones that are supposed to tell you what's going on because they need to if you want to understand anything. I try my best to, if whenever I'm doing an info dump, I try to put the personality in the character of the character in their delivery of how shit's supposed to be explained. So instead of saying, you see, Lucifer came up from hell, took the blade, and made a new race. This race was known as the Baron. The Baron are now these new type of hybrid creatures of wolves and foxes. Instead, I just want to be like, he called him this stupid name, and he said that name was stupid, and he called him this name. Yeah! And then they established this colony and stuff, because I want you to be as engaged in the story as I want the characters to be. So adding that little bit of extra personality, it can go a long way to have someone that, and according to some people in my comments of that page, they thought it was funny slash slightly offended that he used retarded. But again, I don't pull punches, and if you get offended by certain words I use, this is how the story's gonna go. I'm sorry. So yeah. And anyway, he actually does use retarded in the actual proper context, because retard is supposed to be held back in some way, or really, let's say you're building a fence, and instead of building it up, you're knocking it down. That's retarded, because you're literally taking your progress and moving it backwards. Lucifer is a guy who's known to be a dude who always picks like names that are supposed to strike fear in the hearts of others and be very specific. Succubi, incubi, fucking gluttons. All this sort of names supposed to be like, yeah, these are demons. You know these. But then Pochico? you see where I'm coming at here. So, yeah. Basically, yeah, this the last page that we're going to cover for today. This is page 10. When we get to page like 11 and stuff, we're going to get to more characters, and I'm going to save my voice for that. But frankly enough, we get to this page, and you see how demons are. You see a few demons flying around, how things are about. You see how hell has progressed, and how it's actually now, how this is a society. And another thing is supposed to planting the seeds of curiosity. It's like, okay, hell's usually the place where you got a bunch of anarchy, disorder, a whole bunch of things going on, torture, maiming. Where's all that? Why is there a society here? It's supposed to showcase that limbo isn't like the rest of hell that you could probably think of, because limbo, in actual some mythologies, limbo is just for the people who were unfaithful and didn't really do anything bad. It's like unbaptized children go to limbo because they didn't do anything bad. They just weren't baptized to be good enough to go to heaven, apparently. So when you actually liberate limbo, and limbo is no longer what it is, and now you have the residents there actually be able to make a society for themselves, you just have a bunch of people who just weren't that bad. So they're not like criminals or serial killers. They're just a bunch of people who were just confused in life. And now that they can make a society again, they're gonna make a society again, and that's what limbo and Cthulhu is supposed to represent. The representation of not all demons are bad. Most demons and people who go to hell usually don't do it because they want to be bad. They do it because they made mistakes, and this is that place where the people who just made dumb decisions can actually just live out life without everlasting torment, or let's say walking forever. So, yeah. Also, funnily enough, this isn't supposed to be like, limbo is actually not exactly how it is, how I say in my story. Limbo is a personification of my life. If you watch my, I quit my job video, you would know that I go on walks, like, a lot. For those of you who don't know, have not seen it, when I used to go to work, it was like 3 hours away, and sometimes I had to walk that way, and that's 3 hours of my life were just spent either walking or biking, or just basically a commute via hard stress legwork to get to a place. So I made limbo literally just my life. You're walking forever, have fun. Yeah. So, yeah, basically. These are just 10 pages for right now. I think we're going to end things off here. This is just supposed to get a good format of everything. The disclaimer of everything I'm going to be covering. And just getting the basic framework of how the beginning of the story is from page 1 to 10. Once we get to 11, 12, and 13 and all that, that's when we get to the meat of a bunch of shit that I was thinking about. And I hope I do my best not to spoil anything that is supposed to be the future to come for these characters. But basically, every single character you're gonna see in the next coming pages all have something to do with me in some way, shape, or form, in what I had to go through in life and what these characters represent in that life of my time, and that type of emotion and that type of dedication that I go through. So yeah, hopefully this has been something for you guys. I really don't know how to end these off. Really, I don't even know what to really say, like to make it so that I'm having fun. I'm having fun, so I hope you guys are having fun as well, learning a little bit of my how I do things. And yeah, I hope you guys will enjoy this series. And again, only listen to this if you have nothing else better to do, want it as a podcast, or just want to hear my voice, Because goddamn it, it's gonna be destroyed if I continue to do this for like hours on end. Because at least with some reactions, I can rest my voice for at least a few minutes. No, I have to continue to talk, or it's just gonna be way too boring for you guys. So, yeah, okay. So, also this is gonna be a long ass series. I mean, a long ass series, guys. I'm gonna tell you this. When I get to the final page of my story, I would have talked about my story for days. If you take every single one of my videos, as soon as I get to the last page, every single one of these, I guarantee you, I would talk about my story for days. That's gonna be incredible. So, anyway, this is DOMB Universe. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.